All right, we are recording. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Downers Grove South Cross Country and Track podcast. I am your host, Mike Farthing, and today I am joined by Dayton Flyer and DGS alum Melissa Weidner. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, I need to like create some consistency, I think, with some of these podcasts here, and so I think moving forward, I'm going to ask this question of everyone, but maybe you could just give us a little brief overview of your running career, when and how did you get started in the sport, and kind of talk a little bit about high school and then how you ended up becoming a Dayton Flyer.
Yeah, so my running career starts with my dad. He ran all the time, even before I was born. So when I was, when I was young, we would always do like our turkey trots, in Downers Grove. Very exciting stuff. So I would always do some community like 5Ks with him when I was really little, though I don't really remember it. I see pictures. And then I kind of continued it. I really enjoyed it. I did other sports along the way, but running was something that I kind of always came back to. And I really just enjoyed it. And I decided to try out for it or go out for it in high school, even though I only ran cross country and track in 8th grade.
Okay.
But I was between swimming, golf, and cross country, which are unfortunately all the same season. And I narrowed
Sure.
it down to cross country because I really enjoyed it the most. And so I decided to come out and fell in love with the team, especially since I never really had a big team like that since I was only like 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just loved the atmosphere. So I kind of kept with it and it really paid off. I didn't run varsity until the end of my freshman year, like after conference. Then I ran regional sectionals and state. And then I really fell in love with the sport, like kind of seeing like the grind to get up there is something that I really fell in love with. Kept going and really enjoyed it. And then I ended up at the University of Dayton in Ohio. And I absolutely love it here as well. It's a great fit for me. And it really makes me think how grateful I am to have such a great experience at DGS because I didn't really get to pick that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm very fortunate to say that I picked a great program and school here at UD.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably hard to fathom, when you're making that, like, what seems like a really small decision in your life, like just to go out for a team and looking at the hard work that you put in over 4 years. And I think really like the big jump that you made, I think, in your senior year, and then to really be able to have these types of opportunities like you do now, I think that this, when you look back on it, you're probably just like, how did I even end up at this point?
Yeah.
You know. Um, so maybe, like I, had talked to you about, we could start a little bit with just how things are going right now. What's your training been like for you? Because you had fall during your freshman year, and I think you got a meet or two in sophomore year, or I'm sorry, in the spring of your freshman year, and then you've had a lot of time just to run and I guess get in really good shape. But I mean, what's it been like for you, and how have you stayed motivated during this whole time? And now you finally got your first meet coming up here in a couple days. So maybe just talk a little bit about your training experience.
Yeah. So we had a full cross country season, fortunately. And then we did complete our indoor season. So our last race that I had was our indoor conference at the A10s. So that was nice, but it was unfortunate because it was like a week before our like Rust Buster outdoor meet that COVID kind of canceled everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been almost a year since I've ran my last race, and definitely over a year since I've run my last cross country race. And so we have cross country season right now instead of indoor, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll have our outdoor kind of like regularly scheduled. So what has motivated me has definitely changed. Right in the beginning, it was a lot of hope that I was just going to be
I
able to
know.
race right away.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of just like coming back into the groove of things after indoor. I got some PRs and I was really excited to see what I could do, especially since I was supposed to run the 10K and I've never raced that. before because we did not do that in high school.
Sure.
So I was super excited to have that opportunity, but unfortunately that has been postponed. And then over the summer, I just stayed really motivated knowing that we might have a cross country season. And then unfortunately that got canceled. But I'm happy to say my motivation did not dwindle down to nothing. And I kind of just kept changing like my why. That's what
Hmm.
motivates me. Even in high school, like that's something that I really just connected with was like, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? So that why changes a lot. Sometimes it's like we have a time trial coming up and my why is like, I really want to get a really good time or
Hmm.
something like that. And then sometimes my why is that I just need running to be like a nice outlet for me. Like school's been kind of rough. Why am I running? Because it's like really nice for me to just get
Hmm.
outdoors and be with my friends. So I think that's kind of my training has kind of like lulled with that. But right now I am very motivated. I'm very excited to see like what I can do. I think my fitness is somewhere that it hasn't been before. And that's like due to all the training. Like we
Hmm.
haven't had any kind of like blips. I've also been like happy to say that I've been like pretty healthy the whole time. So I
Hmm.
haven't even had like a long period of time off. So I feel like really fit just in the sense of consistency.
Hmm.
And my coach does a really great job of like working with us to kind of tend to
Hmm.
what our needs were. And I feel like I've definitely tapped into that, like kind of being like, I need a little bit more speed work or I need a little bit
Sure.
more endurance work. And so I'm really excited to see what our 5K race holds this weekend.
Have you guys had any like time trials or like benchmarks at least? I mean, because I know, like you said, like it's been really good that you've been healthy and you've been putting a lot of mileage. But I mean, have you guys done like some time trials, or is there's been something like during your workouts where you're like, wow, like I mean, when I look at where I was at last year doing that same workout, I mean, I'm like, you know, much faster.
Yeah. So we have a lot of like our workouts are kind of like on a loop. So we can
Hmm.
easily see and connect. And our coach does a really good job of like
Good.
asking us to log.
Hmm.
And so then we can look back and he'll be like, you know, a couple months ago, see where you were at. We want to be a little bit faster, or let's hold those paces, but do more reps of them.
Sure.
So we have, so kind of along with that, we've had two time trials that I've run since COVID, and that was like kind of last semester.
Mm.
And it was two 5Ks, and one of them was like paced the first 3K, so it was more of like
Mm.
a 2K like fast at the end, and
Sure.
then the next one was a track 5K. So those were nice because I got to see like kind of where my times were at, and I haven't even run an outdoor 5K
Mm.
other than probably some random one I did in a summer in high school to
Yeah.
help get recruited. Um, but yeah, so those have been really good. I've been seeing, we have like one workout that I really try to log on because it's pretty difficult for me. And it's really cool to see those times drop and also have the consistency or like the reps go up as well. So in that sense, I can tell that I'm getting like pretty fit and that it makes me really confident to see those jumps.
Hmm. What's your in terms of like mileage? I guess at least maybe you could talk a little bit about just coming in your freshman year and then maybe to this year. Like, what's your mileage look like from compared to like say, I guess probably by like your senior year in high school? How has it sort of progressed over time? Have you been doing about the same, a little bit more, a lot more?
Mhm. Yeah, so in high school, I think it was probably around like 30, 35, maybe like 40, and then some random like summer weeks, maybe up to 50.
Hmm.
Um, but also like kind of like Coach Plunkett just told us like go run 8, go
Hmm.
run this. And so in or in college, that was way different. It was
Hmm.
just kind of like we have a chart of where you should be at the end of the week. And then the workouts, and then you fill in the rest. Like we have our double days here, our double days here. This is an off day. And then you kind of have to do the math, figure out what works best for you. So for me, like I was really worried to jump up in mileage because I know that's like a sure way of getting
Hmm.
better. So I didn't want to like pull out plan B until it was kind of needed. But
Sure.
I also recognize that getting more mileage would help me and like I would be stronger with like our, you know, a collegiate program.
Hmm.
So I kind of I went probably 55 was like
Okay.
really where I hung around in my freshman year. 55, like 58 was like my perfect number. Like I was hitting 58 for weeks on end. Over the summer, I definitely kind of ramped up a little bit because we didn't have workouts for a long time, just trying
Hmm.
to get a good base mileage and then maybe bring that down a little bit and add workouts in. And so right now I hang around 60,
Okay.
which feels nice.
Hmm.
Occasionally I'll have like a big spike up, but it goes well because I do pretty long runs, like about
Hmm.
15 miles, and I
Okay.
try to like average that out by doing about 60 miles a week.
So, I mean, so when your coach says this is the plan for the week, I mean, he pretty much gives you this is your range of miles that you should get in for the week, and you just kind of decide if you whether you want to do a short run, longer run, bunch of medium runs.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
basically how it goes. We have like organized practice, and then you get to pepper in what the amount is. So
Oh,
like some people really love
sure.
doing one long run to
Hmm.
get their mileage up. And so that is like their day to go do that. For me, like I like having a nice 5 miles. So I will try to plan my doubles if I got to do 8 and 3, 8 and 4, something like that, so that I have a nice Friday 5 miler. That's what
Uh,
I'll do.
right.
But he tells us like what the workouts are ahead of time, so you can kind of plan like, last time this was about 10 miles or something
Okay.
like that. Yeah,
So for him, does he? I mean, there's always like a debate about like a long run and probably being out on the road for maybe at least like 75, 80 minutes in order to get some like I don't know, extra effect from a long run. But I mean, have you found that to really matter? Or do you really just feel like if you're a kind of person that just really likes 5 mile runs and you want to run two of them in one day instead of a 10 miler, like, do you think that really matters much? Or is it just about getting the mileage in?
yeah, I think that, well, I think for me, I just like whatever I'm kind of feeling that day. Like if the sun is
Mm-hmm.
shining, I would love to do like 500 runs, but I just can't do that.
Sure.
And I think like our highest mileage like day, that's like that is like the day, one of the days that is like pretty like blocked in. Like you do your long runs on Sundays,
Hmm.
and that ranges. Some people will do like 8, some people do 18, whatever kind of works for them.
Sure.
And so I think like for me, I really enjoy that. I think doubles are helpful, but I don't think I could have a whole week of doubles, and I don't think I could have a whole week of singles. The variety kind of spices things up, and I also like how it breaks up the week. It makes it, not seem as like scheduled, and that just like helps with me mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I suppose too, just with like the college, with your schedule and not necessarily being in class for as many hours, it just allows you to sort of have that flexibility,
For sure.
you
And I
know.
like our doubles. Like I do my double at 5 o'clock. We have like a
Okay.
3 o'clock and 5 o'clock practice depending on your schedule. And I really like how it feels like kind of like high school, whereas like I try to get all my homework done or
Hmm.
most of it, like my hard schoolwork before the practice. And then
Sure.
after I can kind of just do like the easier work or catch up on my emails. So then it kind
Hmm.
of feels like, practice, dinner, homework and shower and go to bed and get ready for the next day.
So are your classes, I mean, you pretty much have it regimented as much as you can, like high school. Like you have classes starting at 8 or 9 and you're done by noon, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what I prefer. Like I
Okay.
tried to do because most of our practices are in the morning. I do try
Okay.
to like have morning practice or morning classes so that I can just
Mm.
come home and crank them out.
Yeah.
Our off days, our off day is Monday, and like our like late day is Friday, so we only have afternoon practice. So I try
Okay.
to make my Monday and Friday classes a little bit later so that I can take advantage of like my 2 sleep-in days.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, yeah, like I try to avoid like night classes just because that kind of like messes up like the
Yeah.
groove. I like getting my homework done at night and not really
Sure.
like doing it in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's nice because we have a lot of like advisors and teams like that can like help us plan around like our schedules around our practices.
Sure. Yeah, I can remember having one evening class, not by choice, but it was I had to take a non-Western history course, and I ended up taking Cuban history, which was the lady was super interesting, and it was content I
Yeah,
had never learned before. We learned all about like Fidel Castro and the Cuban Missile Crisis and
yeah,
just everything that went along with that. But I could never do an evening class. I would just fall asleep, and it was like you went once a week, but it was like a 3 hour class,
yeah,
and it was draining.
yeah. I believe it.
I tended to kind of forget about doing the work for that class quite a bit just because you only had it once for all the other classes you had either 2 or 3 times during the week.
For sure, for sure.
Um, Maybe you could backtrack a little bit. What can you remember about like getting on campus the first time as a freshman? Like just, meeting your teammates and kind of getting acclimated to Dayton. Like, did you ever have any doubt if you were like, I don't know, man, maybe this wasn't such a good choice? Uh, and that happened pre-COVID, so we can
Yeah.
talk about things, and it's not anything about like social distancing and wearing masks. But what was it like for you when you first stepped on campus at Dayton?
Yeah. So, um, on my visit is when I knew that this was kind of the place. Like I was very lucky to have what everybody says is like the click. And I knew that this was the one. And so when I came back to campus, like officially as a freshman moving in, I already knew my roommate because she lives in Palatine. So
Okay.
we raced at Palatine distance night. I met her there. Her twin also comes to Dayton. So
Okay.
the they're two of my roommates currently because I
Okay.
live with 5 other girls on the team right now.
Okay.
And so that was super fun. And it was nice to not just like know a complete stranger. And Dayton is a beautiful campus. So that was like one thing that it felt very small, even though it's like a pretty small school. It's like 10,000. Like that's pretty small
Mm-hmm.
for like a D1 school.
Sure.
It was nice. It felt very like I felt safe. I didn't have to walk far, all this stuff. The team was very close and I loved that. I loved having like a built-in friend group right away. And something special about Dayton is that everybody lives on campus all 4
Okay.
years. So we were just like a couple blocks away from our team, and we still are now, even as we move through the neighborhood, um,
Mm-hmm.
as we move through the ranks from like the dorms to the apartments to the houses.
Sure.
So that was super awesome. And then I also just really liked how we were close, like with our coach and what he knew about the school. I
Mm.
liked being close with the guys team because we did not have that at DGS.
Sure.
And there were like they're
For good
really
reason, for obvious reasons,
yeah,
right?
for obvious reasons. um, and our coach was super nice. I love the professors and that all that. And the atmosphere here is just great.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is super friendly. And when I even like visited my friends like at other like state schools, like
Mm-hmm.
you just get such a large group of people that go there. So I guess that's like a nice perk of going to like a private school is that like I don't know, I guess it kind of all attracts like pretty similar people. Everyone's super
Sure.
kind here. So yeah.
Yeah. What are you studying? Because I looked at the website. It said sustainable energy. Is that still your major?
Yes, so I
Okay.
actually just switched like 3 days ago to
Okay.
sustainability, but
Okay.
urban sustainability. So it
Okay.
has a little bit more to do with city planning, and I'm doing a minor in operation and supply management, so like
Okay.
business,
Sure.
because I want to work in businesses to help them become more sustainable, and I thought this was a little bit better track.
So wait, so say it again. What's the major?
Urban sustainability.
Oh, urban sustainability.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, that actually sounds really smart.
Yeah, it's like that is what I want to do, like go in businesses, and then the
Mhm.
energy one is like the people who make the solar panels. So
Okay.
equally cool stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'm like engineering enough for that.
Yeah. Um, is the school? I feel like I've heard a few people go there. Do they have international business?
Yes,
I
that's a
think
really
as
big
well. I
business
feel
is a
like for
really
some
big thing.
reason I know quite a few people that go there that have
Yeah,
mentioned that too. So maybe you'll tack that on too. I feel
yeah,
like you're gonna be like a world explorer kind of thing too. So it probably wouldn't be the worst thing for you.
exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
um, let's see. You kind of touched base a little bit on just like your college search and a little bit of why you chose Dayton. Um, so I guess I want to ask you this question. So I think I think this is like one of the most incredible feats like that I've ever seen in my 14 years of coaching. But I got to talk to you a little bit about you and like your improvement from junior to senior year in high school because when you look back at like your track record, I mean you ran some great times your freshman year in cross country. I didn't know you yet. And even during the springtime, I think I've told you the story, but the your mom is actually was the seller of the house, and whatnot. And the lady who was working with us buying the house, she had asked me, she's like, she knew I was coaching at DGS, but I was coaching the girls, like the sprinters, not the distance
Yeah,
runners. And she mentioned your name, I'm like, no, I don't know who she is.
Yeah.
But I did. In a couple months, I sure knew who you were. Um, but just looking at your times, though, if I were just to compare, say, like the state meet, every year that you ran there, I mean, I think you ran what, like maybe low 18s as a freshman, and then sophomore and junior year, I think you virtually ran about the same time at the state meet. It was like everyone on our team was like 1750 and change or
Yeah.
something like that. And then at state, the senior year, you dropped like 40 seconds off of your time from one year to the next. Can you like talk a little bit about what you can remember from, just that summer before senior year? I mean, I know that a lot of times there's athletes that just want to, go all in because it is senior year, but I feel like there was it has to go beyond that. So like, can you think back to that, and like, what do you think was the reason that you had such a large jump? Because it's unusual, when you really look at some of the girls who, you were running next to during that state meet that either finished just in front of you or behind you. I mean, some of them, they they showed promise like very early on, and they kind of stayed at those times. But you making that jump as a senior is really, really rare. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I think kind of the feeling that like when you're describing this, like that's so crazy to me because it feels like so long ago. But it's like something that I feel like is kind of on the brink of what's happening right now. So fingers
Mm-hmm.
crossed. But I think that, like I said, like my passion, like the why, just
Mm-hmm.
really evolved. Like junior year, I finally understood that it's really just like mind over matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like around the time that I like really started to become like involved with like meditation and that type of thing. So I think that helped a lot. Like I finally understood visualizing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I understood to do it, but I didn't know if I was ever doing it right. And then I started working with somebody who really helped me get through with that because I knew that I wanted to do great things senior year, knock it out of the park, and then have a really good chance of like finding my dream school
Mm-hmm.
in college. So I didn't want like my own times to kind of get in the way of that. So I really just want to keep my door open with that. But I think that I am a very competitive person. I love to
Mm-hmm.
be the best at everything I do. And I think that really sent me into overdrive, like going into senior year. Like I think I connected a lot with Coach Plunkett.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is the goal. These are the goals, and we're gonna do it. Let's move it or lose it. Like let's really see what we want to do. And I remember vividly talking to Brenna, who was previously on this podcast, episode 1. She I remember talking to her after like NXR, it must have been, and being like, we're going to NXN. Like, I can't explain it. I just know it has to be done some way,
Mm-hmm.
somehow. And spoiler alert, we did not go, but we got
Mm-hmm.
third. So I think that was at NXR, and I think that was pretty good too.
Yeah.
But I think that I just really understood that, like, I am limitless and
Mm-hmm.
that if I can like really train and I can really like put my heart into this while not making running my whole life, which is the
Mm-hmm.
key there. Like
Right.
running should not be your only hobby or the only thing you're pouring your heart into. Just like if you enjoy playing guitar, you should not play guitar every single day. Like eventually you're going to get tired of it or run out or something like that.
Sure.
So I think that balance I tried to like understand that like I want to enjoy my senior year as a high schooler. Like I want to
Mm-hmm.
go to the football games. These
Yeah.
are my school friends that I'm never probably going to see again, or I'm going to see in
Sure.
random places. So that balance helped a lot. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, going back, the passion really helped me. And I just like started to embrace the hurt.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think it really helped too, because I think the team kind of as a group developed like that edge, and that kind of came through. And so it was nice that even on like my off days when I felt a little
Mm-hmm.
bit like weak or like what is this for, other
Sure.
people were doing it. So I had like a lot of people to look up to.
Yeah. I think, it, not to throw shade at anyone, but I think, you know, I mean, it was definitely a cumulative effort with, everyone, working really hard. But I definitely think that, um, you were kind of the cornerstone of that success, honestly. And I think,
That means a lot.
I think you're honestly, I actually think you were like the X factor of that season because, I
Thanks.
mean, I mean, I don't know. I guess just like if you hadn't made probably the massive amount of improvement that you showed, just like in terms of time. And I don't know that we would have been in the same position for sure,
Thank you. That means
but
a
I
lot.
mean, that's a testament though to, to you and, really working at it and trying to figure things out. I mean, we don't have to go deep into like the whole meditation talk, but can you like briefly explain maybe just like maybe a strategy that just
Yeah.
helped you?
Yeah. So it actually all started because some of the schools I was looking at, I knew that they were going to be stretch schools. And I
Mm,
knew even Dayton, like where I knew where I kind of wanted to be on the teams. And
sure.
so I was like, okay, how do I get there? Comparing myself to like who they recruited, all that.
Hmm.
So I kind of had like goals. And then I used meditation as a kind of like train to get to my visualizing. So
Hmm.
I would just kind of sit down before races and the night before races. And hopefully I went to like a course that helped a lot, like for me to
Hmm.
imagine myself at the course and kind of like going through every single like step, like where would I turn, like where are the
Hmm.
tangents on this, where's all this, and I would go through the whole thing and I would literally pretend that I was tired in the race so
Hmm.
that I was like mentally prepared, like how would I act if I was tired right now.
Right.
And then that translated into workouts. What would I do if I was tired right now? Would I stop? No. No, I would not
Right.
stop. I would keep going and I would work harder because if like somebody from a different school was ahead of me, I would be passing them right now. So I need to like, work that in practice and that will help me in the meet. And it kind of like
Hmm.
became a really strong snowball effect.
Yeah.
Um, so I did a lot of this thing called the 9 breath method,
Okay.
which was taught to me. And it basically, you can Google it. I mean, it's like by Wim Hof or something, who's like some expert, like meditation guy. And it just really helps like oxygenate your muscles.
Hmm.
So that like helped me a lot before races, just like on a very physical level. Like I felt like pretty clear minded and like
Hmm.
clear, like I had a lot of like adrenaline. Um, Going in before the races. So I would do that like right before the line and I would feel just like pretty like calm,
Okay.
which helped a lot. And also got my heart racing a little bit because the way you like do the meditation is like a
Sure.
lot of holding your breath and like deep breaths and stuff. So I was like kind of already getting my heart rate up so that it wasn't just like bam, okay.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, so that helped me a lot. And I think that was honestly, so once I started to believe that, that's when I was like, okay, this is working. Like let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Hmm.
How much can I work with this visualizing thing?
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's the reason that I even broke 11. Like I have this like vivid memory of me writing down um like like I was being taught by my instructor like you have to only like write down what you believe in. So I wrote
Hmm.
down that I believed I was going to make at 10:59 because I was like
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm not 10:30. I'm like I'm not going to get crazy.
Yeah.
So I wrote 10:59 down on like a piece of paper. And I just kind of stuffed it away. And
Yeah.
I just would visualize like me on the track. Okay, 10:59. What do I have to hit my paces for?
Right.
When I'm tired, I'm probably going to hit this pace. So what do I have to hit for the next one? And
Hmm.
then the one time that I broke 11, I ran 10:59. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying I did that, but I did do that.
Is that at
It was at regionals, I think, or
yeah,
sectionals.
sectionals? Okay, because
Yeah,
that
at
I
New York.
remember going there and watching you do that. So,
Yeah, that was
and
crazy.
I'd even, I mean, I knew that it was like close, but I was when you did do it though, I was like, it's based on really the way the whole year had been going. I'm like, it was only fitting that, I thought I remember you saying too. I think it was like you didn't really care even about like making state. You're like, I wanted to break 11. Like
I had to. I had to for
that
the
was my
start.
thing. If state qualifying came as a result of that, great. If not, like,
Yeah.
you know,
It felt
yeah.
like
I mean, just being like super detailed oriented, but also being like very honest with yourself too. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like that's a hard skill.
yeah.
I feel like
Well,
it's
I
a
just
hard
didn't want
skill,
to
and
disappoint
then you
myself.
figure it out over time. But like, I feel like it's really difficult because I think it's like human nature to always just kind of like sell ourselves short
Yeah.
and always lower our expectations because then you're never disappointed.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
because I mean, you show like you met your goal, but like it was never really like a stretch.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'll have to look up that technique. I think that kind of fits a little bit with some of the RPR belly breathing. I know that it seems
Yes.
very like it's very opposite to sort of like calm your body, but it's just so that your body is ready to react when that gun goes
For
off and
sure.
it's able to tap into, a different stage in your body and just be able to really like fight,
Yeah.
not flight.
Yeah, no, it
So,
definitely connects.
yeah, I'll definitely have to look that up and maybe something that we'll try to integrate a little bit. It was difficult last year to try to even do like RPR or anything, just the
Yeah,
whole COVID thing and
for sure.
not even know if we are gonna have a season and all the other constraints that we had to follow. Um, but yeah, no, thanks for sharing though. I mean, I kind of knew, because I know we all kind of did a lot of the essential oils and that kind of stuff. I remember, um, but taking a technique and not just like using it, but like trying to really believe in what you're doing because I mean, to me, it seems like what you're kind of saying is that a lot of that jump had to just do with just the whole shift mentally.
Oh, 100%. I didn't really think of it now, but now
Mm-hmm.
the way that I would articulate it is like if you want to be in the top 1%, you have to do what 99% others aren't doing. And that's
Yeah.
what like I feel like I'm trying to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that 99, like, even if that top 1% of me doing that is if I got to stay up late and do my homework, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to get 12 hours of sleep before race day. Like,
Right.
if this helps me at peace at mind more,
Mm-hmm.
then that's going to help me more in the end. And just
Mm-hmm.
kind of finding that life balance. But for sure, like, I found that the RPR, like, I noticed, like, because it's a lot of like the breathing out,
Mm-hmm.
when you're breathing in, like your
Sure.
stomach goes out and stuff like that, which is like
Right.
not a natural motion um,
Mm-hmm.
anymore, even though it should be. And I feel like those types of things, like when you were saying that, like I totally resonated with that, and it connected too. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how, sometimes the wacky stuff is really the stuff that works,
Yeah,
because it's kind of like the same thing, right? Only like, only what is the quote? It's like only dead fish or something like that swim
but
down the
that's
stream or
right.
something
Yeah,
like that. So like I mean, it's not that you always have to be different about everything you do, but there, you got to do something a little bit different. Otherwise, you can just expect the same result all the time. So,
for sure.
um, okay. So let's see. I think we've touched actually quite a bit on um, quite a few things here. Uh, so here's a few questions for you to kind of round out tonight here.
Okay.
So the first question that I have for you is, what is your favorite memory from high school cross country?
Wow. Well,
Or maybe
I
what is one of your favorites that you
yeah, I
can
was
like
gonna say
vividly remember and you go back to anytime you think of DGS cross country or track?
yeah. I There's a lot, like you said, like
Hmm.
an infinite amount, like the amount of memories that I have. Like if someone plays a certain song, I can like be transported back to the bus rides and Coach Plunkett
Sure.
like glaring at us in the window for like screaming for like 5 hours straight. But I would say as like horrible as the situation was, it was probably like the night that we found out we did not make it to NXN.
Mm,
It was just a moment that at the time was scarring, but turned into like a very beautiful thing. I never really had a moment where I worked so hard,
mm,
so hard to just fall short.
yeah.
And it really humbled me. It really did. It felt like it humbled the team. It brought us together to like, yeah, because a team that wins together, but a team that loses together,
Mm,
that is a different type of bond. And I feel
yeah.
like that really made me like connect with it. But also I would say like equally was when we got the trophy my senior year when we had
Mm,
third, because that was like the first time in DGS history that running got a trophy. And that was really an important moment. And I loved how Coach Plunkett and you had all of our teammates come up with us, because it is so true that you're only as fast as your last person. And like, I will stand by that quote till the day I die, that the last person motivates the second to
mm,
last person, motivates that all the way up to the people who are on the front line scoring the points.
mm,
And so I think that's like something really important. And I vividly remember Rhea Basine
mm,
saying to me on one of her quote cards, don't aspire to be the best on the team, aspire to be the best for the team. And I just remember that sticking with me. Like, even if I'm having the worst day ever, this
Hmm.
has to be like, I have to do what's best for the team right now. Like, what do I have
Hmm.
to do for that? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I would probably say that, from your senior year, I mean, it's bad that I would think of the same thing. I just remember how I don't even know. Like defeated is a total understatement, but just like, being there to finding out that you guys weren't selected and like how hard you worked, but you know, I couldn't even say anything. All
Yeah,
I
no,
could do
I
is just give you guys a hug because like I literally could not say anything because, you know, we don't have to relive every moment of it. But I
yeah,
kind of feel the same way. I'm like, I've never, I don't think, I don't even know, coached so hard in my life
yeah,
where the outcome was not what I felt it should have been,
yeah,
But unfortunately, with something like that, it was just, a committee versus really, when
yeah,
you're looking at, you know, I don't know. Well, I guess it was tough, man. I mean, you had Yorkville and Naperville North. I mean, you had to like
yeah,
beat those teams, and they were, we were in a league of our own that we had never been, and they were in another league of
yeah,
their own too, But I think was some stat that I remember looking at. That year, though, I think between us and the other two teams, I think we all ran if you take the top 5 times from each team all time for girls state, it was Naperville North ran the fastest time at state ever. Yorkville was number 2, and but what was incredible is that the year before we just made it in, I think, the top 50, and then we moved into like number 8 or 9 all
yeah.
time or something like that. I mean, like,
It was crazy.
but I think I was just so much more pleased though, even with the third place, because we had been so close 2 years prior to that.
Oh,
You know
I
what I mean? I
yeah,
just felt like, I don't know. I mean, I'm a Sox fan, but I mean, but I felt like the Cubs, like how many times are you going to get so close and then
yeah,
you just find a way, and not that we ran poorly, but like we just didn't get what we wanted. You know what
yeah,
I mean? And it was like you said, like, you gotta find a deeper why. You gotta ask yourself like, how bad do you want it, and you
yeah,
gotta like really go after it. And so, you know, the rest is history. But yeah, I'll forever like cherish those moments too, and being able to see not just you all that ran, but so many alumni came back, and just being a part of that whole experience with parents and everyone that were just a part of the process is something that
yeah.
I'll
It
treasure
definitely
forever for sure.
Yeah, it definitely felt like we had the whole tradition behind us. Like this was like our gift from like the DGS ancestors and all those to come ahead of us was like the all of the great combination for us to get that trophy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, to even last year during COVID, it's kind of tough because during COVID, I feel like a lot of teams have worked so hard with culture, and that was something like not that we lacked, or other teams lacked, but it was hard to build because we didn't have a summer program,
For
and being
sure.
able to really kind of talk about, um, those types of talks that we would have at the camping trip, and being able to have like the
Yeah.
Friday guest speakers, and just kind of hearing all those same messages over and over from different people. And
Yeah.
you know that stuff's hard to replicate. So that's what I'm kind of hoping a little bit some of this interview is for, is just those of you guys that have gone down the path and had the experience, you can reflect a little bit on it, and being able to share that with our current athletes.
Yeah.
um so the next question is, kind of has to go a little bit with recruiting.
Mhm.
But it's someone who is looking to run at the next level, like what kind of advice can you give them in terms of like deciding which school they should pick from?
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to like have a recruiting assistant.
Hmm.
So that was really helpful. He helped me make those like connections that I wasn't really sure how to make. And it definitely like the traditional like four square of like the reach schools, like where are
Hmm.
you comfortable education and running wise, and then all that.
Hmm.
Um So I definitely like looked into that a lot. And I always told myself, like, where would I want to go to a school that if running didn't work out or if I got injured and my career
Mhm.
ended, where would I want to stay? Because recruiting is hard. Why would I want to go through a whole nother
Right.
process? Um, so I definitely did that. I found, for me at least, it was easy because I knew I wanted to do something with sustainability. At first, I
Mhm.
came in with that as my minor and business as my major. So that
Okay.
X'd out a lot of schools because a lot of schools do not have that like
Sure.
combination that I can do. But it also left me with like a lot of random schools, like a lot of schools on the West Coast, and then Big Ten schools, and then Dayton. And
Mhm.
then I kind of just looked through like what were major things that I just really cared about. Like I did not want
Mhm.
to go to a school that was 40,000 people.
Yeah.
I that type of thing. I looked for what personality traits that I would want in a coach and in teammates. And on my visit, I really tried to just strip down all the shells and be like, this is me, because I want them to take me onto their team.
Mhm.
And because they obviously know the team, so they're going to know
Right.
if I fit in, and I want them to be honest with me so that I can be like, oh, I want, I want to be surrounded by people like this. So that helped a lot. But
Mhm.
kind of getting the establishment of the recruiting, it was a lot with size, a lot with location. I
Mhm.
knew that I wanted to, like either stay like kind of close to home, not too close, or like pretty far away, no in between. So
Mhm.
that was nice. And that I had the opportunity for that. Other than that, just education wise, somewhere that I would come out with a really great degree, and Dayton's gonna give me that opportunity, which
Mhm.
is really nice. And then everything kind of started to fall together, which was really nice. Like a week before my visit, they came out with their sustainability majors, which is kind of crazy because I'll be
Mhm.
like one of the first classes to be graduating with one.
That's exciting.
Um, yeah, very exciting. So that was really cool. I knew that I would have the opportunity to study abroad, which is something that I don't know if that will happen with COVID now, but I was hoping that I would be able to do that over the summers, and some
Sure.
programs don't allow that. And other than that, everything, like I said, like little things started to come together, and I was like, this is like kind of a great school for me. Came on
Mhm.
my visit, and I fell in love with the campus and how Coach Ordway, who's my coach, like how he coaches, and I just love that. And I loved having the team be like under 20 people, so I'm like really close
Mhm.
with all the girls, and I have the opportunity to race. Even if I wasn't in the top seven,
Mhm.
all the girls still get to race in a lot of races because our team is pretty small. So we have like two divisions or that type of thing. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was really nice to just have that. The combination of everything is really helpful. And I guess recruiting advice would be keep an open mind
Mhm.
and really just think of key values before talking to any coaches, and just kind of say like, this is how they are. This is what I want them to be like. And talk to other people too, because I know a lot
Mhm.
of coaches kind of do like a wine and dine type of thing.
Sure.
Very grateful that Coach Ordway is exactly who he said he was. And he was like really great. When I called him, I would take little
Mhm.
notes on all the coaches and kind of compare, like, I don't really like how the coach said this, or I love how the coach said that. And so I thought he was going to be a really great fit, and he is. So that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all really great like pieces of advice that things I mean, even I'm trying to think back to like when I had kind of decided on schools, but I will say though, like what you had mentioned though, because kids will ask me sometimes and I'll say, pick a school where if running doesn't work out, you would want to stay there because it is kind of a hassle. Um, I realize this is your podcast, but I should say when I went to Eastern Illinois my freshman year, I mean, I went there because I thought I had the opportunity to run, but then when things were kind of like not working out, had to go through some injuries, I was like miserable on campus. And it's not like a knock on Eastern, but just like I wasn't happy there. And
Hmm.
then trying to go through that process, you would think transferring from Eastern to Illinois State because they're state schools that the credits would just transfer, and it wasn't easy. Like it
No.
wasn't even easy at all. Even when I had to talk to my advisors, they were nice enough to give me credits for a couple of the classes, but it wasn't as smooth as you would think. And
Yeah.
it's okay. Like it's okay if you decide like the one school doesn't work out for you, but I definitely
Yeah.
think like you said, like there has to be the campus has to provide you a lot more other opportunities. Ultimately, you need to make sure that it has the major you want,
Yep.
and everything else outside of running has to be attractive to you. um, in order for you to be like, okay, well, then running is only going to make this like a better fit, you know?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
all right. So here's my final question. And I think I'm going to kind of make this a mainstay, or I guess I've kind of asked this in every interview, but I'm going to make sure it's the last question. So, um, and this is really for the girls and the boys who are running. I mean, cross country or track, it doesn't really matter. But thinking back to your high school experience and knowing what you've kind of gone through now as a college athlete, like what advice would you have given yourself like back in high school if you knew better?
Patience.
Uh,
I'm still working on that now, but I would say I'm a little bit better at it. Um, that's the main thing that stands out in my head because I definitely was like pretty good in my middle school when I joined in eighth
mm-hmm,
grade. And then to come out and not be in varsity was not, it's not that I expected I would be, but it definitely was a shocker to be like, first of all, on the team with like people who are 18 years old and I was like 13.
mm-hmm,
And the patience of just kind of like, every single day just kind of chipping away at it, and knowing that not every day is going to be perfect, but like to give your 100% for the day. That could look different, on bad days maybe 100% is but on good days maybe 100% is like, wow, that is 100% out there. And
mm-hmm,
so kind of just finding that consistency was really helpful. And that's probably the advice I would give myself is like, you just need to realize that, you need to be patient. And then the other piece of advice
mm-hmm,
would be that you need to be fearless. And that's just, you can take that in any sense that you'd like. The way that
mm-hmm,
I took it is like, don't be afraid. Like, what is the worst that's going to happen in this race? Like, you go
mm-hmm,
out too fast. Okay. And how are you going to react? That type of thing. And I feel like I did that a little bit more and I still get a little bit scared. It takes me a couple races to kind of warm up to that mentality, but I
mm-hmm,
do love just the idea of running fearless. Like, who's going to stop me? Why can't I be the best?
mm-hmm,
Why? It's just all fear because I know physically, like, if I work really hard, like, what's the difference if someone else, like, obviously talent is going to play into it, but theoretically if I'm working pretty hard I should be able to achieve like realistic goals I set for myself. So being fearless would be a big thing too. Me and Kennedy would have this thing that we would call grind day of the week. And so we would pick out one workout, the harder one usually, if
mm-hmm.
we did like two workouts, the harder workout, and that would be GDOTW, grind day of the week. Like we would be next to each other and we'd be like, grind day of the week, like you got to lay it all out on the line because we got an easy run tomorrow, like we
Yeah.
can do a really hard. And I remember in one of the races at state we ran up next to each other. I think she like caught up to me or I caught up to her and she whispered to me, grind day of the year. And I was like, that is so true. I'm like, today is the day. We've been training for this. So I think yeah, that I don't know, that kind of just fun aspect of like being
Mm-hmm.
fearless and laying it all out on the line, and then the patience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think those are messages we try to relate as much as possible, but to actually show patience, especially now with COVID, I hope we all have learned
Yeah,
patience
yeah,
more than anything else. And I hope that, and I know you will, but now that you do have some opportunities in front of you, to really just, make sure that you make the most of it, because that rug can just get pulled out from you in the next month or here if there's some other variant or wave of COVID or something like that,
yeah,
and we're all back to like taking steps back instead of moving forward with all this. So, well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And on behalf of obviously the coaching staff on the girls' side, but also the boys too, and the DGS community, just want to say that we are very proud of you, and you represent DGS well. And good luck to you in a couple of days here with your race. Let me know how it goes, and uh, keep in touch.
yeah. Thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Of course.